Okay, so let's start this session, everyone. So, a very good evening to everyone, and I welcome you all to this webinar. And I hope you all are going to enjoy this webinar as we proceed further. So, guys, let's start with this, and I hope everyone is clear with the things that what we are going to do. So, today we'll be talking about GUI designing, that what is GUI and how we can design a GUI with Python. And after that, of course, we are going to discuss about whether update application that we are going to make in Python. So let's start the session. And guys, try to make this session interactive. Means it will be really great if you can just unmute yourself and revert back to the questions that I'll be asking it, or you can revert back through the chat box also, right? So let's start this. So first thing that arises, what is GUI? Any idea to anyone? What is GUI?
Graphic user
Graphic user interface. Okay. And what is the use of GUI, or why do we need GUI?
It allows user to perform tasks without actually looking at the code.
Okay, it allows the user to perform the task. That's great. And can you give a real world example of it? Some real world examples of GUI where it is making our life easier. Any one of you? Yes, guys. Anyone who can give example about it?
Like nearly everything here, right? As we can see for Zoom only, we have GUI for muting ourselves, starting a video, and all of that.
Yeah, great. So, guys, as Sahil said, that most of the things around us are in the form of GUI now. So, let's say like those who are familiar with Python, they would know that in file handling or through OS module, or someone who is familiar with Linux, they know that we need to write down certain codes in order to create folder, copy paste file and all that. So just imagine that if even the simpler task over a computer system, let it be like cut, copy, paste, needs to be done through a code, then in that aspect, like we as a programmer or someone who is from a technical background may find it easy to do that thing, right? They can write down 2 to 3 lines of code to get it done. But let's think about someone who is not from the technical background, or who is not having much of a coding knowledge, like let it be our friends, any of our family members. So these days we know that computer system or a laptop is being used by a lot of people out there, irrespective of whether they are from technical background or not. They are able to use it. So that's because of GUI. GUI help us to interact through the system, interact with the system through graphics. Another good example of this could be like if I talk about, that is basically your ATM machine. So these days you would have noticed that irrespective of anyone, everyone is having an accessibility to an ATM machine, whosoever is having the card, and they are able to uh, use that for getting out the cash and all, irrespective of their education level and all, right? It's accessible by everyone. So with the help of GUI, even though someone is not able to read out Hindi or English, but still they are able to make the transactions out through that, with the help of the icons and images that are available over it. So at the moment, you guys can see my screen. This is also a GUI. All these are buttons. Underneath, a code is being written. I click over these buttons and something is going to happen, right? And it is not a magic that is happening. If I'm clicking on any button, that does not mean some magic is happening and the screens are getting changed or something like that. In underneath it, a code is written. that if I click on any of these options that are available, then certain set of a code will get executed, right? So that's the beauty of UI or GUI, I would say, that allows the user to interact with the system through graphics. So in Python, there are different modules available. Those who are new to Python or like attending this session and not much familiar with Python, then just a simple term, module is sort of a library that you might use in C, C++. It is very much similar to that of the libraries. So I'm not getting into the detailed of it, just to make it clarify things that what module will be, just to give a hint out there. It is similar to as that of libraries that we use in C, C++. In Python, we call them as modules. So there are different modules: Kinter, WX Python, PyQt, JPython. Aside from this, some other modules are also available, which can be helpful for creating a GUI in Python. So today we will be discussing about the Kinter module, that how we can create GUI in Kinter. You may call it as Kinter, Kinter, or some may spell it as Tkinter also. So you'll find both the pronunciations out there, even in the over the YouTube and all. If you go through certain videos, you will find out some people calling it as Kinter and some of them call it as Tkinter, right? So everyone is comfortable with the pace of the things. Everyone is on the same page. Everyone clear with what is GUI? Any query, any doubt regarding GUI, anything anyone wants to ask? Okay, let's proceed. So when we are looking in for designing a GUI with the help of Kinter module, Kinter is an inbuilt module. We don't need to download it externally. Once we install the Python, this Kinter module gets automatically pre-installed in it. So we don't need to download it externally and use it out there. So in Kinter, Kinter is basically in a TK GUI toolkit shipped with Python, and it is standard GUI library for Python, provides an easy way to create GUI applications, and it is also like having a powerful object-oriented interface. I hope some of you would be aware about the object-oriented word, object-oriented programming, in which the most of the things revolves around in the form of classes and objects, right? So these are some of the like glimpse of the widgets. I would say widget is basically the mode of interactions that we can create over a page. It could be buttons, it could be display boxes, it could be entry fields. So these are some of the images related to different widgets. Now in Kinter, it is a 4-stage process. It's as simple as that, like only 4 stages are there in order to create a UI. First is importing Kinter module, which is basically of just one line. You need to write down one line and the Kinter module is imported. Creating main window for GUI. Again, this is of a single line. If we talk about a custom GUI window, then you only need to have one line out there. Otherwise, if you want to customize it, then you may need to customize the size, the background, the title, and all that thing. Then this is the main aspect. This third step is the main aspect where we need to add on the widgets. Widgets, as I told you, the widgets are basically these mode of interactions or the options that we are making available over our UI screen, through which a user can interact with the system. So that is the main aspect. And after that, enter the main event loop. This is again just one line. So whatever UI you are going to design, that will come in between the second and the fourth stage. So the third stage is the most important one. That means all the widgets designing and all will come between the creation of UI window, and the main loop part. Okay. So these are the 4 steps involved in creating a UI for Kinto. Now let's quickly go through just hardly 2 to 3 minutes of more theory, and then we'll shift our focus towards the coding section. Now, aside from this, we let's have a overview of what sort of a widgets we may have. Button is there. Everyone is. I hope everyone is aware about what button is. Button is a sort of a element that we may click over, and it may leads to some execution of some other part, or it may lead us to some other windows and on. Like for example, we have sign up button, login button over the pages, like that. Canvas is something sort of a place over which we can draw in things, customize things according to our wish we want to make out there. Then we have check buttons. Check buttons are like checklists that we may create. Like let's say if you want to add on an option over your UI that you want the customers or the user to checklist the things, to check on the things that they want to add on to something. Then entry. Entry is basically the field which is used for getting input from the user. Like for example, when we talk about name and the password, we have these blank spaces in front of that in which the user enters the details. So these things are basically known as entry fields in which the user enters the data. Though entry field can also be used for displaying output as well. Not every case we use it for getting the input, but sometimes we do use it for displaying the output as well. Then frame is basically used for framing up the thing. It is a sort of a container that we may create, and we can put in the other widgets inside that container. So it's more of like creating divisions over a screen sort of a thing, we can say in simple terms. Then we have label. Label is basically the normal text. Like let's say this is my UI screen. Over this we have created a login form, name and all. So this name that will be written out there, and let's say the password or something. So this name, password, and let's say there is a over the UI there is a written login page. So these 3 texts will basically be the labels that I will be having. So if you want to have a normal text over your UI, that can be done with the help of labels, or you want to display some values or something, that can be done with the help of labels out there, right? So these are the widgets, some of the widgets, though there are 18 to 20 plus widgets available in Kinter module that you can see. Then how we can create, like why do we prefer this Kinter module? Basically because in this it's quite easy to create the widgets. Most of the things are having a similar sort of the names out there. If I want to create a button, I need to create an object of button itself. If I want to create a check button, I will create an object of check button. So that's how the source code of this module is written. That's the entities that we want to create, the objects we want to create are similar to as that of the real names out there. So for creating a button, this is the syntax. We need to create like x equals to button. So X is the name of my button or the object I want to create for button. Then this is the object for which we are making in. Main window is basically the UI screen that we want to show over, that we will create in step 2. And then options are there for customizing it. So we'll see in a moment how we can do these things. So this is how the outlook of button is. And some options that we can add on is like active background, active foreground. Active background is means when you click the button, then the color of button will change. Foreground means the text will change. BD is the back border width, and BG is basically the background color. The most important aspect, and this is command, means when I'm going to click over this button, then what should happen is given in this command function. So this is the most important aspect of button widget, right? Then rest of them are customizing things. This image can be used to add on an image over this button that we will do in our project also. We will add on a button and we'll add on an image over it, right? So aside from this, entry field is there. As I told you, entry is used for getting the inputs. This is how it looks like. There are certain methods which are associated with it, like get is there. Get means whatever the user has written in this, they'll get the value for it. Set is used to set some text over this field, and delete and all are used to delete the text that is available out there. Then label is a normal one that I told you. So these are the objects that we want to create for. We will create an object of label. We will create an object for entry field, and we'll create an button also. So these are widgets which are related to our project also. That's why I'm showcasing it. Now in Kinter, there's one small thing that needs to be taken care of is when we create widgets, after creating the widgets, they will not get visible over the UI screen. So at that time, we need to make use of Kinter geometry, or we also call out them as layout managers. So there are three methods that we can associate with. One is pack, another one is grid, and third one is place. So we need to use one of them with each and every widget in order to display that widget over the screen. Means if this is my UI screen, in my code I have created one button. This will only be visible, this button will only get visible when I will use any of these methods. And mostly on a single UI screen, we need to use the similar sort of methods for all the widgets that are available over it. So let's see how these widgets looks like. Pack method. Pack, what it will do is it will add on all the things in the center of the screen. If I talk about this is my UI screen. So pack will try to add on all the things to the center. Means horizontally, it will try to align it to the center, and vertically it will try to align the things to the top. So vertically it's top alignment and horizontally it's center alignment. That's what pack will do. So one after the another, whatever widgets you are making, it will display them like this in the center. Grid will divide your UI screen into a matrix format. Depending upon the number of widgets you have, you can form the grids, and then you can select the portion you want to display the widget in. Place will take X and Y coordinates. Place will take X and Y coordinates. According to the coordinate values that you will provide, the widget will get displayed over the screen. So we need to use one of these. A bit of shortcoming of this place method is if we have a different size of screens available, then this place can create a bit of issue because every screen size is different. So the coordinates of the screen size will get changed. Like for example, for a 14-inch screen, the center coordinates will be different as compared to that of a 15-inch screen, or let it be higher screen itself, right? So anyone having any query till this point, the things we have discussed, this will get bit more clear when we'll see the code snippets now. Everyone is on the same page with me? Yes, guys, can I get acknowledgement? Okay, great. So let's move on to the coding section for it. And I hope everyone is waiting for that thing itself. Now, let me just move on to the code part. As a code is bit larger, so I'll not be writing down the things side by side, but I'm going to show you step by step how this project will get implemented. Means I'm not going to directly showcase you the final code. I have broken down this code into sections. One by one, we are going to add on each and everything. So let me just showcase you what the final output will look like. So we are supposed to create this now, this is the project that we are going to create. This is the UI screen. So whatever we have discussed till now, can anyone tell me what widgets do you think are available over this? Any one of you? Whatever widgets we have discussed. Yeah, Anurag, you were saying something?
Sir, first widget is button.
Someone has written search box, image, label. Search box is there, but search box, button, label, entry. That is a smart play. I already told you that these things are used. Okay, so guys, this is basically an entry field where we will writing down the state name or the city name that we want to find the weather update for. And this is basically my button over which I will click and the commands will get executed. And these images are basically the labels that we are using in Kinter. There are different ways of adding images, either in the background, either over the screen. So one of them is using labels and all as a widget for showcasing the images. And then these three dotted points are basically the values that the values with over which the place where over which the values will get displayed. If I showcase you the another image of it, that is another image of it. Like at this place, you will be getting these values, right? So without wasting any more time, let's jump on it and I'll showcase you step by step. Means we'll not be moving to this final end product directly. We will do step by step. One step we'll add on the search box, then a logo, then one by one we'll move further, right? And in between, if you face any doubt over a particular point, you can just ask him to repeat. Okay. So let's move on to the coding part. So first, we will see how we can create a UI screen. That is the first part. Not about the project. In simple, how we can create a GUI screen for Python. So from Kinter import star, we are importing the Kinter module. So this is one of the ways how we can import this module. Root equals to tk. The moment you write down this line, root equals root tk, this is basically you are creating the UI screen. The moment you create the object of tk, your GUI screen is ready. Instead of root, you can write down any variable name you want. And let me just showcase you. This is a default screen. This is a code for default screen. This is step 1, which we have seen. Step 2, there is no step 3. We are not adding any widget yet. And step 4. So after creating the UI screen, everything will be written in reference to root only. So if I run this is how this UI screen looks like. Is this small screen visible to everyone? A small, uh, this rectangle shaped screen that is available? Yes, guys. Is it visible to everyone? A small gray color box.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Yes,
this is
sir.
a by default screen that we got. So this is the title of the screen. These are the options to maximize and minimize it. And the color is gray color. Now let's customize it. Let's add on the title to it, change the background color. And what we are going to do is we will increase the size of it. So for that, root.title, weather app or weather application, whatever you want to write, you can write it here. Let's keep it app only because the further code is with that name. This is a size that I am giving it, whatever size of the screen you want to have UI screen. Resizable, false comma false means I don't want to resize my screen. Whatever UI screen will get created, I want it like that. I don't want to maximize or minimize those things. R.config, root.config. Config is a command which can be used for adding on the background color. So background equals to orange. Now if I run this, this is how the screen will looks like. Right, orange color. Weather app is the title, and this maximizes not available anymore. So if you want to change the color, you can change it. Let's make it blue. This is how blue will look like. Okay. And after that, let's say we want to use some other color. We can write down the hex code out there, right? We can write it down, the hex code that I want. I can write it. So the color which you see in the project file, this one, this is basically a hex code. You will not get it as a direct solid color palette that you may write. So we can write down the hex code of any color we want, and it will change to that. Like let's say uh, hex code color picker, if I say, and I may take any particular from any color out here, and we'll get the hex code of that. Let's say this. I can write it here, and you can see the screen color is changed to that particular part. Right? So we can do that particular part. Okay. Uh, Anurag, the differences between, there are different ways that we can use in for importing a module. Like in this case, the entire things and all will get loaded up into the workspace, though this is not a recommended way, but for beginners level, at this moment, we are moving in this part. This is generally being recommended for the ones who don't have the internal knowledge, like have the knowledge of internal structure of the module. In case if we use import tkinter command directly, in that case, like if I am using this tk command, in that I would have written tkinter.tk. Like if we directly import any module, like using import xyz, if I use any module like this, import xyz, there are different ways of importing a module. One of them is this way, from module name import star. Another one is import xyz. If I do this, then I need to write down this xyz module first and then dot, in order to access any function, variable, or any other thing that is associated with this xyz module. So this is the way. In that, we will refer to this. In this case, all the things get loaded up into the workspace. That's why we can directly call tk as tk. Instead of giving a hint that it is a part of tkinter, we can directly write tk here. Right, then other than this, there are two more ways, like importing a particular function and all, not getting into the detail of that at the moment. You can easily find the answer for it, different ways of importing a module and the difference between them. Okay, so this is how we have created the UI screen. Now after this, we are changing our UI screen, we are changing the color of it. So this is the color, let's say I added on here itself. So you can see this is the color that we want for our UI screen. And at the moment, you guys can see the screen is moving here and there. Whenever I am running it, it is getting opened up at some other locations. For offset, that this is the starting location of the screen that we want. So from this code, the modifications that we have done is the color change and the offset that we have given to it. Okay. till this point it is same. Now the first thing we are going to do is we are adding on the search bar image in this. Means where we will write down our entry, the state name that we are creating. So how we can create or how we can add on an image out here. Search image, the name, photo image object we are creating, file equals to search icon.png. Guys, this method that I am using out here will only be accessible for adding on the PNG images. If you use any other sort of a format, it will throw an error because this will only add on the PNG images. Okay. So search image, photo image, file, search icon.png. My image equals to label. So what I am doing is I am using a label, and over the label, I am adding on an image. So in this, if you want to read the things available in label object, then you can see about these things. All these options are standard options that are available. In relation to label, we can use any of these options. Here you can see this image option is there. So image equals to the image that we have loaded upon. And background, we are giving this background because we want to synchronize it. Let's say if I don't give this background here, I'll showcase you in a minute when I'll explain this code. Then my image dot place x equals to 35, y equals to 40. So what we have done is place is a geometry. I told you we need to use one of them in order to display it. Otherwise, it will not get displayed. So my image2 dot place x equals to 35, y equals to 40. Similarly, text field, because over the image we need to have a input box also in which we are going to enter the things. So text field equals to entry, and in this the first thing we are going to write down is the name of the UI screen. Even in label also you will write down the name of the UI screen. If you don't, it still works. Here you are supposed to write down the first name as the UI screen. Justify width, font, all these are for the customizing purpose. Justify equals to center means the text we want in the center. Width is 17 of this entry field. Font style is this. Border equals to 0. FG, foreground color, means whatever text will appear, that is the color of that is this, and background of this is F67, because we want to blend it with a particular thing. Like search icon PNG, if I showcase you, search icon PNG is this. This is the search icon PNG. So I want to blend this image with the background, right? That's why I'm giving the entry fields background as that particular part. So if I run this thing, here you can see this is how it looks like. Now, if I don't add on the backgrounds to it, as I told you, let's say I remove this background. Then you can see this is a white line popping out here. The white lines are there because this is the actual entry field that the actual image that we have. So that's why it becomes mandatory to blend in the things for proper UI finish. If we don't blend in the things, then the things will not look out much professional. So we must do that part. Similarly, here also background is given. That's why to just blend in the things, right? So this much code, I hope this is clear to everyone that this is how, this is the first step we have done. So we can write down anything we want. And this is the foreground color. This color that we are getting is the foreground color. Okay. So we have created our first step. That is, we have created the search entry field that we want to do. Now, the next thing that we want to do is let's add on the Hex N Bit image out there and the weather image. So we will be adding out the Hex N Bit logo out here. Instead of the name, we will add on the logo. So this much code remains the same that was there above, search bar image, and this is entry field. So guys, step by step, I will notify you. This is the same code that we have seen above. Like you can see here, this is the same code. Right now, the next thing we are doing is we are adding a company logo. We are adding the Hex N Bit image out there. So same process for adding on an image like we have added the search image, the same process will occur. Logo image equals to photo image, file equals to hexnbit.png. Guys, in this one small error that a lot of people get, that if you are not able to execute this command in one go, then sometimes you may face a error. There are different errors that certain file does not exist or like that kind of a error. Then what happens is in Kinter it keep on creating the UI windows and it will generate error. So in case if this error occurs, there are different sort of errors that might occur. If you think everything is fine, all the things are at the same place, then what you are supposed to do is you need to restart your code. Instead of rerunning the particular part, close the things and rerun, just execute it freshly. Otherwise, there's certain errors that you may find out, like pi image does not exist, that sort of errors that generally people get while working with this image part. So this is the image that we are adding, and this is the weather image that we are adding. So X equals to 800, Y 25, you can adjust according to the screen size. Similarly here also. Now if I run this thing, this is how your screen looks like. This is the image that we have added on, and this is the logo that we have added on. Right, you can add on your college name here or whatever thing if you are trying to make it out there, so you can make it accordingly. Okay, so we can make it the way you want if you are making it for a college project or something, because this is a really good project if you are a fresher, or even like if you are in third fourth year, you guys haven't started making projects, then this is one of good projects that you can start your journey with. Even if you have done the backend coding and all backend projects, this could be your first front end project that you can make, because in this you will learn a lot of things about UI designing as well as the backend code. Okay, so we have added on the images. Guys, again, these images are getting blended because of the background. If you don't add on the background, you'll not be able to create the blending part. So keep the emphasis over these things, that while creating a UI, you this is something that I have prepared the code. It have taken some time, and as well as like I have the experience, so I could do it. But if you are designing a new GUI of your own, then it will take some time to design that UI. You need to find out the correct color combinations. You need to find out the correct locations for placing the images and all, right? So this much is pretty much clear to everyone. Anyone have any doubt till this point, or we can move forward? Shall I move forward? Yes, guys, can I get acknowledgement? Shall I move forward? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now the next thing that we are going to do is we are adding on the temperature icon in this. As this is a weather application update, weather update application. So in this, we will fetch the temperature, we will fetch the humidity, wind speed, as well as the pressure, atmospheric pressure available at that point. So this much code is same, company logo, weather image, all this code is same that we have seen above. Now the new part of code that we are adding is this temperature icon. Again, simply we are playing with the images in this UI. This This is more of like images, because in UI what happens, you may add on the different features. In this, the main thing is that we only need one button. The rest of the things will be done through the code. All that matters is the outlook of your UI. So if I run this, we have added on a temperature part, that is this particular image. Here you can see this is the image that I am adding on. And guys, this is something that you can create this UI completely at your end by changing in the colors and all. You need to, if you have a skills regarding Photoshop or photo editing, then you can make your own color based stuff and you can recreate the entire UI with the personal color schemes that you want. So now this temperature icon is added on, right? So in this, if I showcase you the preparation for this, this is how, like, this is a normal thing that we have. This is the temperature icon that we have. So from this, I have done the image editing and all, and I have converted this thing into a particular part that you can see. And another UI that you can have is this sort of a UI. A black color thing in which a text could be written instead of the logo. This is another version of this thing that you can make in. Okay. So coming back to the particular part, we have added on this particular temperature file over it, temperature icon. Now, similarly, we will add on three more icons, that is of humidity, temperature, and the wind speed. So till this, the code will remain same. At the bottom, we will add on the new icons, that is the humidity. And we are just playing with these three lines of code: photo, image, label, place. Till now, this is what we are doing, just that in between, we have just added on one entry field, except that we are still playing with labels and images till now. Okay, so humidity icon, wind speed icon, and the atmospheric pressure we are adding on. So now my GUI looks like this. After adding on these images, my UI looks like this. Now the next thing that we may do is we will add on the text out here, that what this is temperature, this is wind speed, this is pressure, this is humidity. We will add on these things and we'll add on dots out here. Similarly, we will make some markings like what type of a weather it feels like at the moment and what are the timings here. So we will add on these things also. So let's see the further code. So till this particular part we have done adding on the images. Now the next thing we are going to do is adding labels for displaying the values of all these points. So we are adding on the labels now for displaying the values. So this entire code remains same till above, till this point, what we have seen above. Now the next thing we are going to do is adding on the labels. So we have named it as label 1, label 2, label 3, label 4 for displaying the particular parts. So label 1 equals to label, root, text equals to temperature, font is this. So there are different type of fonts that you can add on over Kinter. Not all the fonts are available, but you can check in the documentation of Kinter module that what all features are fonts are available in this. And then foreground equals to, again, the background and foreground we are blending with a theme and placing it on over a certain portion. So we are adding on all these widgets. Now, if I run the code, these things will be visible. While displaying this, guys, this X and Y is completely hit and trial. I have I have run this code multiple times, so that's why most of the things may look at the perfect location, but this is something that you need to do hit and trial after fixing up the images positions. So if I run this code, you can see we are getting humidity and all these labels out there now. So this is again completely hit and trial by centering the text, images and text. So you need to do this by randomly putting in the values and see where it is getting displayed. Okay, so this is how we add on the parts. Now the next thing is we are adding on the dots for the readings. We have added on the labels. Now we are adding 3 dots where the actual readings will get displayed when we search anything. So for that, these are the labels that we are adding on in that. D, T, H, W, P. This D is basically that what sort of a thing, like how it is looking at the moment. What do you feel at the moment? That is basically the bottom of the weather icon that we have. And this T is basically for temperature, H for humidity, W for wind, P for pressure. So just to align these things with the above images that we have added on, so we have given a short in that particular part. So D equals to label, added on the label to it. And here we are writing text. Text equals to 3 dots because text is a parameter which will get displayed in that label. Here we are not using images, here we are writing down the text. So our text is 3 dots. So this is for T label, this is for H label, W and P. So if I run this, here you can see we got 3 dots over these places. These are actually the points where we will get the actual values when we will search anything. And the D label that is not visible is actually placed at this point. Is actually placed at this point. Now after this, we are adding on the label for time also. As from the images, you can notice that we will have a time mentioned here. So this is D. This part is D. And this we will put it now, current time. Okay, so the code remains the same. All this code remains the same, D, T, H. This is the new block of code that we have added in this part. So again, we have added on 2 labels here. Why 2 labels? Because one will write down current time and another one will write down the time that exactly at the moment is. So label, root, font, Arial, this part, and then again the another thing. Here we have not written any dot and all because we will be fetching these values, right? Here we have shown the dot to showcase you that where these values will appear. Here also you can showcase for the first time, but these values will actually get fetched out from the system. That's why it's not written. So root, font, foreground and background. This is the location. So we have added on the time label. And if I showcase you again, it will not be visible at the moment because it has been created at this position. Okay, then adding on the search button. Now we are adding on the search button and get weather function in this. So let's see about the search function first, how we have added on the search button first. The rest of the code is same time label. Only 2 new things are added. One is the search button. So again, we had the entry field, we have created the image and we have created the button. Search icon equals to photo image, file equals to search symbol dot png, and this is the button. button, my image icon button, image equals to search icon, border width, cursor, BG. Now here you can see command option. So when I will click over the search function, then what should happen is written out here. Let me just make some changes to this code for a moment. Or let's keep it like this and let's run it. So you can see we got the search button here. The search button is because of this place. Now if I write down Delhi here and I click on this button, here you can see my cursor is getting changed to hand sign. So if I click over this, the button is getting clicked, but nothing is happening because there is no command given. I may press it multiple times, nothing will happen because I can click it multiple times I want. But what should happen when I'm clicking this button? That is that this value should get fetched and we should call some respective modules for finding out the things that we want. So this command, we will write down the function here. We are writing down the function here. Command equals to get weather. In Kinter, always remember, if we are trying to associate a function with a button which does not accepts any value, then this is the way. Command equals to function name, only function name. If this function is not accepting any value, this is one way. If your function accepts some values, then in that case you are supposed to write it like this. This is a normal way in which we are doing. Command equals to function when your function does not accept any value. But let's say if you are associating some function with a UI which accepts some values, like in calculator and all, when we make calculator in UI, we need to pass on the number that we are pressing. So in that cases, we are supposed to write down the command in lambda function. We are supposed to wrap it inside that. Like this, we will pass on the value to it. Okay, so this part is particularly when function is accepting values. Always remember this thing. This is very much useful when function doesn't accept values. Okay, like when it is not accepting any value, then this should be the way. If it is accepting, then you must wrap it inside lambda function. Because what happens is, if you pass on the values directly here like this, then while compilation of the code, this will get executed automatically because the UI code gets executed. So here you are basically calling the function. So it will automatically execute this whatever function you have written. So whenever your function accepts some values, you must always pass it like this so that it gets into a lambda, and then command is the one that gets executed later on. Okay. So this is how we are doing it. Now let's see this get weather function, how it is actually working. How this get weather function is working. This will be the code that you will be adding for search button. And at the top, we have added on the get weather function. This is get weather function. For get weather, we are using some new modules. One is this, we are creating one message box here so that, like pop-up notification, whenever a software gets installed, you get a small pop-up, installed successful or error is being raised. So for that sort of thing, we have added on this message box, and we are using some modules like time zone founder, time zone finder, date time module. These are used to find out the current times of the particular location that we are trying to search. import request module is used for making a HTTP request or a API request. Like in this application, we are using these APIs. We are using these modules, as well as we will be using a open weather map API to make the request to fetch the values that I'll showcase you in more next 5 minutes. I'll showcase that. PYTZ is used for conversion of time zones to finding out the correct. If you want to read about these, you can search this time zone finder Python. You may write it like this, and this is the official documentation of it, that from where you can read about it. Here you can pass on the latitude, longitude to it, and it will tell you what is the time zone at that part. Like here you can see Europe, Berlin. So this is a sample code for this particular part. In this, you pass the lat and long of a place, and it tells you what is the time zone at that place. Similarly, date time is an inbuilt module which can help you to find out the current time at that place. PYTZ, if you write down this PYTZ module in Python, then you will find out this. It is basically used for PY, brings the database in Python, allows you accurate and cross-platform time zone calculations. Okay. So this time zone founder and all, and this GeoPy geocoders, this is something that you are supposed to download it. GeoPy Python is used for getting the coordinates of a place. GeoPy module, these are the commands for downloading them. Pip install GeoPy. This will allow you to get the latitude, longitude of a place with the help of a name. Means you will just pass on the name of that place, and you'll get the lat and long of that particular place. So let's see how it works. Get weather try city equals to text field dot get. So this text field dot get is basically my entry field. Here you can see this was the name of my entry field. So I am trying to get what the user has written in that part, what value is written by the user there. Geolocator equals to Momentum user agent geo API express. If you go through this, you need to specify your app name here, so you can specify this application name at that point, and it will work out there. Location equals to geolocator dot geocode city. So basically, whatever the user has entered, we are passing this to this geolocator dot geocode. Okay. And then we are initializing the time zone founder also. And time zone founder, from that, what we are doing is, like here we have passed in the city. Let's say I have passed on Delhi here. So this will actually return me the lat and long of Delhi, latitude and longitude. So using this time zone founder, I'll pass on the latitude and longitude and latitude of Delhi, and it will return me the time zone of it. So if I quickly showcase you the sample code for it, I have written below, like importing these same files, city input, print type location, and here we are running the same code. And if I just erase the below part, so you can see I'll write down Delhi. So you can see it showcase the time zone, Asia, Kolkata. Let me write down any other place, Brisbane, Australia. Right, so that is how it is actually working in that this GeoPy location part. Whatever place I am writing, it is returning the latitude and longitude, and then it is actually finding out the time zone that is there at that location. Okay, so coming back to the above part where we have created the function, this get weather. So now I hope this thing is clear how we are getting that thing. And then we are converting that time, means after getting this location, we are making it in the form of the current time at that place. Like if I showcase you again that code, I write down Brisbane, then you can see the current time in Australia at this moment is 9:34 p.m. So this part of a code is helping me to get the current time in Australia at the moment. If I write Delhi here, so 5:04 p.m. Right, so that is how this thing is actually working in. The same code is being above in the get weather option, this part. So now let's run this part. In exception, we have given an error if the place is not written properly. Run it. Now let's write Delhi here. You can see this is the current time. I may write down any place now. 9:35 or whatever place you want, Scotland. These are the timings at different places at the moment. So we got the timing. The other thing is we can get these temperature values and all also. For that, we need to make use of Open Weather API. So let me just showcase you the code once again of what we have done till now. Importing the libraries, geocoder is used to get the latitude, longitude. This is to raise an error. Time zone founder to find the time zone at that place, and date time to get the current time. Date time is inbuilt module. You can get the current time from this. Request is used to make the request at the portal. Till now, we haven't made any request. This is used for the API part. Next, we will see. And this is used to get the correct time zone out there. Creating the UI window, get weather function, then the rest of the things is related to UI only. All this UI part is there. Okay. And at last, the next code that we will see is the final code of it, where we are adding on the weather API. So let me just brief you about the weather API first. Openweathermap.org provides their API so that we can fetch any place we want. But before this, you are supposed to make an account over this. There are paid applications, paid subscriptions over it. You can use the free version of it also. So first you need to sign in over it, and you can look in for any place here. You'll get the information about that. So the API that we are going to use from this platform is click over the API option. We are going to use this current weather API, current weather data. Click on API doc, because in APIs we need to make a request. So for requesting that, each individual gets their own credentials so that they may know that who is trying to make a request, who wants to use the piece of code that they have provided. So as me, I have my own API, you will have your own API key. So if I click over this API doc, here you can see this is the way we can make a request over. This is the link, and these are the values we need. This is a lat long based thing, and API key. API key will remain different for each one of us. Each one of us will get our individual API key. So we are making the request by state name. They have made some changes recently, and they say this thing is available for USA only, but it is still working for India also. Like if I go to built-in API request by city name, this is the way we are going to make request. So we'll pass on the city here and the API key. So how to get the API key? Click on this, and it will ask me to sign in my particular ID. And this is basically the API key that I have, right? This is my API. This is the key that I have. So this will be separate for each one of us. This is basically my identity for this website. So this was current weather API, and the way this data will be returned to me is basically I'll showcase you how this data will look like. This is how this data looks like. This is the JSN data. Anyone who is aware of JSN? Yes, anyone who is aware of JSN? What is JSN data? It is basically JavaScript object notation. Like in this case, we get most of the data available over internet is in JSON format, and we need to fetch out the required values from it. So those who are comfortable with dictionary and all, they can find it easy to fetch on the values. I'm not getting into the detail of this, how we can restructure these things and fetch out the values. I'll showcase you the part of it because it's quite a bit lengthy process to explain. Basically, we need to move step by step into the information that we want to take in from. Right, so this is a response. When we will make a request, this is how it will return us the answer for this. So let's see the code now.
Okay.
Final code. Now the only change that we have done is in get weather function. Rest of the things are same, only changes in get weather function. And that too, till this point, everything is same. Now the next part that we are doing is to make a request to get the value. So this much part is there to get the value. API equals to, this is the link that I have shown you that time. Here you can see this is the link. Then the city. So here you can see plus city, we are writing city is something that user will enter. And this is my API ID that is available. So this, when you will try this code at your end, you need to change this part. This is something that you will write your own because I will deactivate the API key after this session. So it will not work similarly. You are supposed to write down your own. You can make a free account over this and you will get the APIs that you want. So we are making a request dot get. Get command is used to make a request over this. So it is making a request over this HTTP request over this. And then we are getting the JSON data from there. Getting the JSON data. And from that data, we are actually segregating out the things that we want. So JSON data, weather, 0 main. This is something that I have got from the indexing of it, indexing, or you can say accessing the multiple things. And description is weather, 0 description. Temp equals to int. Now I want to convert the temperature into the integer, this Celsius values. That's why I am subtracting 273.15 because this will actually provide you the temperature in Kelvin. By default, it provides the temperature in Kelvin. So I'm converting that into Celsius. Then the pressure and the humidity. So how these things basically I'm getting is like if I showcase you the response of it. In response, you can see weather, inside weather. Like here you can see JSON data weather. Inside weather, there are different stuff. Inside weather, there is a list that is getting opened. And in this list, these are the things, the main things that are available. Then ahead we are moving. This is the temperature that is available. The wind speed that is available out there. So you need to move one by one into this data to get the answers from it. So it is a combination of a list, string, dictionary. So accordingly, you need to do the indexing and selection part. For the time being, you can keep this thing as it is, means you when following it. Later on, if we get some chance to have another interaction through another webinar, that time we may cover these things. If we have a particular over respective particular part, we may arrange some another webinar accordingly. Then This is how we are fetching these values and then we are displaying it. T was the label dot config text equals to the temperature that we are getting from here, and after that dot Celsius. D dot config text equals to condition and feels like whatever temperature. W meter per second, humidity percentage, HPA. So this is the code of getting the values from the weather API. So if I run it now, the final output, so I may write anything, let's say Delhi. So here you can see 34 degrees, humidity 59%, wind speed 3.09 meter per second, and the pressure is 1004 HPA. And it feels like almost 34 degrees Celsius. And here you can see this is the data that I got. This is the data that I got, JSN data. So you can use any JSN beautifier or something in order to get these values in a proper format. Like if I place it here, then you can see it will look something like this. This is the answer I am getting. So from weather, I have got a particular thing that how it is having the temperature and all these things. Right, the speed is 3.09 and here also you can see 3.09 in the answer. 3.09. And there are a lot of other things that you can get from this, like the visibility in the area and all. So you can check for any state you want. Let's say we may write it for Brisbane. Or let's write down for Yorkshire. In England. So we got whatever things we want, we can get a value accordingly, right? So this is how we can create this weather update application app. You guys can try this out. This recording will be available over YouTube. You can always revert back to it. So you can watch it out. And let me just revisit you to the code the final time. Importing the libraries, creating the UI window, and then get weather app. So the get weather function, getting the entry field data, whatever user has entered, trying to find out the time zone and the latitude, longitude of it. And after that, we are trying to find out the weather of that place, the weather conditions or the forecast of that place. And aside from this, the same UI techniques that we have done, search icon, the entry field, company logo, weather image, temperature icon, humidity icon. And guys, one thing, while running this code, all the icon images and all should be same place where my code is. Like my coding file is at this place. Similarly, my images are also at the same place. Else you need to provide the location of the images to get it done properly. Else it will throw error that the image is not found or something like that. Wind speed, atmospheric pressure, and all these things. Right? So that is how we can create this particular part. Right? So guys, this thing will be visible over this our YouTube channel also. You can visit our YouTube channel in order to learn more about certain tutorials and all. We are posting up the tutorials and all over our LinkedIn page. So you can visit and like if I showcase you the things. So you can visit our YouTube channel as well as you can connect with us over our social media handles. So over this, you may find out some other Python projects as well. Some Python related videos are also available. And by the next week, we'll be uploading some more videos regarding embedded system, C programming as well over the this. So you guys can subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as you guys can follow up over our social media handles, so that you can get an update regarding the new things that are coming upon. And in case if you want to learn more about Python, AIML, or any other courses, then you can visit over our website hexnbit.com, and you can find out the relevant courses. Like, we are providing different courses related to different technologies you might be interested in to upskill yourself in terms of getting better job opportunities and all. So let it be any internship programs, or there are different certification programs that are available: Python, web development, AI, whatever things you want to learn about in. And you can simply just go through our website, and you can fill in the query form as well, and you'll get the things out there, right?